Hello everyone, it's Bethany from Beth and Books and welcome back to this book nook. Today I am coming at you with the one, the only 2020 video I'm going to do as a wrap up because screw 2020 video. It's going to be the top 10 books I read this year and the top 10 worst, the bottom 10 books I read this year. What did I put on my board? The worst 10 books of 2020. Thank you so much. Oh, I've forgotten your Instagram handle. I'll screenshot it and put it up here for this video idea that you requested. I am happy to provide. This is such a fun video idea. I had a lot of fun writing them. The top 10 and bottom 10, worst 10, and not in any particular order. I'm going to alternate a good one, then a bad one, a good one, then a bad one. So let's just get straight into it. Alright, let's just get this one out of the way. A good book I loved was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. In fact, if you watched my Vlogmas, you would have seen that I got a bookish tattoo inspired by The Starless Sea, and that is, it's in a really awkward place to show you, this key right here. I just love this book simply because it reminds me of why I love to read. Each doorway, each new world, it reminded me of like opening a book again for the first time and discovering new places again for the first time. It was like I could read multiple books within this one book and I loved all of it. I just loved all of it. I know that it's not for everyone. You have to go in knowing it's not, I wouldn't say it's like action-packed. I love it for the language and the word building and the imagery. And yes, it's got a very special place in my heart and I'm going to reread it very, very soon. So let's go on to a bad book. Hashtag murder trending. Hashtag what a waste of my time. Hashtag the main character is an idiot. Hashtag why is this so highly rated? Okay, maybe that one's a lie. I can't remember what it's rated on Goodreads, but it's not rated very well. Look, the reality of murder trending is that the main character annoyed me quite a lot. I kept reading because I thought there was going to be some sort of revelation. She was going to be like, jokes. But no, I was just bored, and it was one of those books where by the time I got to the end, I was like, thank gosh, that is finished. I should also throw a disclaimer in here. If you like any of these books I'm going to talk about me disliking, I am very happy for you. I genuinely wish everyone could love every book. But then I guess loving books wouldn't be loving books. Everything would just be bleh. But you get my drift. A book I loved is Call Me By Your Name. This is by Andre Ackerman, I think is how you say it. I only read this like a couple of weeks ago, but I cannot stop thinking about it. It is a powerful, lusty, lovey, erotic Italian summer love story. There is gay love, bi love, straight love. There is parental acceptance. There is traveling. There is coming of age stories. Definitely adult though, guys. Do not read this. Do not read this if you're underage. Do not recommend this if you don't think that the person you're recommending it to is mature enough for sexually explicit content. And I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about just really close stuff that you would only do with somebody. Yeah, just be aware that very mature adult content. But I can't stop thinking about it. I cannot stop thinking about it. A book I disliked, and I feel kind of mean talking about this because it was sent to me for free for review by the author themselves, but it is the poetry collection 19. Poetry for me is an extremely, it's a personal taste thing. Like poetry I'm a fan of. Inward by Young Pueblo. Atticus, who I originally found on Instagram, I love his stuff. And you would argue that these are like Instagram poems, short and sweet. So it's not necessarily a style thing, because poetry collections I don't like, Rupi Kaur and, what was her first name? Amanda Lovelace. Keep an eye out on my Instagram. When I have the funds to ship, I'm going to be giving these away over there. So these poetry collections I'm talking about, Thoughts of Light and 19, are the same style, I just think that they had stuff to work on. It's not that they were inherently bad, I just really didn't find myself feeling inspired or enjoying it, which is a key component of poetry. So I'll always be honest on this channel, hand on heart, I will always be honest. Thank you for sending them to me, and lovely authors, just wasn't for me. So then, the next book I liked though was Carry On. I do have a copy, but my friend Jonathan, hurry up and read it. You need to read it, please. My friend Jonathan has my copy and is reading it, hopefully soon, Jono. But I love it. I love it. It was the first book in a long time that made me squeal, like just like, oh, like when the main characters kissed. Oh, I just loved it. I loved it. It gave me happy feelings. Unfortunately, the sequel to this, which is Carry On, wasn't as good. But I've got high hopes for book number 3. Alright, so the next book I disliked was essentially the rest of the Shatter Me series. So I think I finished that series from book number 4 this year. So I'd read book 1, 2 and 3 years ago and liked them. I remember loving the first book, and then I decided this is a series I want to finish. I finished it, and every single book in the series that I caught up on this year I gave 2 stars, I think. They just fell flat. I was bored. The action was not how I remember it. And I think it's simply one of these situations where if I had read them back when I was 16, 17 or whatever, granted the later ones only came out recently, but you know, if I was a younger version of me, I would have loved them. But older me, it was just like, what a bunch of love triangle, power hungry bull is this? I just didn't like it. I was bored. Sorry, I know this is a series that lots of people are like hard fans of, but for me, I wouldn't waste my time. Ooh, I'm genuinely sorry if you love this book. I'm happy you love it. I'm happy you love it. Right, next book I love. Brandon Sanderson, The Mistborn, book 1. I read this as a buddy read with Jono, the person who has my Carry On and needs to read it. Oh my god, I love this. I love this world. I love the way the magic system is done. You might be able to see book number 2, which I will be getting to in the next week or 2. I remember like everything from this book. Oh, literally not everything, but the main plot points, the way the world is built, the way the magic system is, which for me, who reads a lot of fantasy and has read a couple of decent like epic fantasy books, is a big sign that I was enthralled, that I really liked it, that I was invested. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. If you're wanting to delve into a series which has massive character growth, a unique magical system where ingesting different metals is your power that you can get, and also you know that there's heaps of books to come because Brandon Sanderson's Worlds series all interconnect. I'll put up like a massive map from Google here. That's what this was for. That's what I'm excited for as well for this. I love it, and I'm not going to run out anytime soon. Alright, a book I didn't like, One Day in December. Really quick review on this one. I was bored. I thought the plot was bunkum. I thought it was unrealistic. I thought there were so many plot holes. Literally the plot could have been wrapped up in one chapter if the main character just spoke up at the beginning and told her best friend the truth, which is what you're meant to do with your best friends. Did not like it. Read it on my e-reader, and I vividly remember putting my tablet down when I finished it and thinking, oh thank gosh, I know I'm not literally asleep already, but now I can officially go to sleep. God, I'm getting really sassy. But you know what? It's the honest truth. I just went to the bathroom and realised how red my face is. I wonder if the camera's picking it up. Summer is here and your gal got sunburn in 20 minutes. Good for her. The next book I really loved was Sarah J. Maas's Crescent City, although technically it's called House of Earth and Blood, so this whole thing kind of confuses me, like, is that part of the title? Is it not? This book took me for a jaunt. I was cover to cover in under 24 hours, which is a massive thing for a book that's almost 800 pages. I have to say though, I did read the original one during lockdown and on my tablet, so I didn't like have a physical mass, so I didn't have the mental obstacle of like, oh my gosh, so many physical pages to get through, which I do think helped. But I just have to say it, I was originally not really in love with Sarah J Maas. I'd gotten to halfway through her Throne of Glass series and was a little bit like, nah, do I even bother continuing? I read this, fell back in love with her writing, the characters, the love story. I just really enjoyed all of it. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I don't know how much else there is to say. I read it really quick. It had me hooked. It was good. A book I disliked was Attachments. This is a Rainbow Rowell one. And my main reason for disliking it is that I found it really slow and I was not attached, ironically, at all to any of the characters. I thought it was weird. I thought the premise was interesting. When I did some research though, it is, I believe, if I'm correct, Rainbow Rowell's first book. And since then, like I say, she's got one of my favourite books from this year on there with Carry On, and Fangirl is on my shelf. There. Like, she's an author that's pretty hit or miss, but I do think as she's gotten more experience, her writing has become better. Then we have Breathless on a book I loved. Again, just like there were arcs, I disliked there was an arc I really loved this year, and it is Breathless. So thank you to Penguin for letting me have a PDF to read. This is another one of those books that's just stuck with me. It's a love story. It's about like a teenage girl who has to go live on an island with her mother for a finite amount of time, like 8 weeks, two and a bit months, and she falls madly in love with this guy, and the guy like has a full-on relationship, but they both like never see each other again. That's not a spoiler, it's part of the blurb. There's like a finite amount of time, but the whole time I'm reading, I'm like, no, please let there be a way for them to stay together, because but no, like it genuinely makes me sad thinking about it. But one of those kind of sadnesses where it's just like so beautiful. Okay. What's our time? 16 minutes. Okay, I need to do some editing. I need to get through this quicker. Book I disliked, and that is Love Boat Taipei. That's because it was a disappointment. I thought it was going to be way more revolutionary. A school that lets you do whatever you want. No, it wasn't. The blurb lied to me. It wasn't that at all. And so, yeah, disappointing. Inherently not a bad book, but one of those situations where the blurb sold me something and delivered me something else. Next on the books I do love is All the Light We Cannot See. I was really tossing up whether I put this one on the list or The Book Thief, but when I think about which one my brain just like tracks back to more, it is this one. Possibly because the ending is more tragic. I don't know, The Book Thief could be so much, like could be side by side here as well. It is another great book. In fact, honorary mention of The Book Thief. Loved it, haunting, World War II story that threw me from like into a perspective I'd never thought of before, namely the blind girl's perspective, and beautiful. I kind of touched on it before. I tried reading the rest of Cassandra Clare's The Mortal Instruments series, and it's essentially the same situation as Defy Me, in that I probably would have loved it if I was like 14, but I'm literally 10 years older than 14-year-old me was, and so now I think it is weird and not very good. Weird because I can't get over the brother-sister thing, like it's just not okay. But I made myself finish the original trilogy. Yeah, I think. Look, I can't even remember. That's how just like over it I am. So yeah, there's that. I then read Chosen Ones, and I really liked this one because of how well I think it turned the trope of the chosen one around. So it's like, there's like a bit of a parallel universe going on. There's a bit of, you guys think he's good, but like, stop judging people based off what people tell you and instead form your own judgments, which I think is a really powerful message. It was, again, a decently sized book, but I just loved it. I really enjoyed it. I got through it quickly, quite memorable one for me. I really liked the sci-fi-esque elements, the magical do you call it urban fantasy? Yeah, the urban fantasy element. So it's really good. One I dislike, the Bromance Book Club. Again, similar to Love Boat Taipei, I was expecting something and it didn't follow through. The Bromance Book Club, the main issue is that, and maybe I'm just being super sensitive here as a woman, he's essentially reading this book, right, to figure out a way to win his wife back. Like their marriage is a competition and she is the prize. Do not go commodifying women. I understand, like, I kind of understand what the author was getting at, but it was done in a way that felt, and this is going to be an outlandish statement, it was done in a way that felt like a man was writing about women experiences, like women's traumatic experiences. It felt like a man just trying to tell other men, treat it like a game, you do all the steps right and she's got to forgive you. Like, I don't know, I just does not sit right with me. Book I loved though, The Martian, which really surprised me because when I originally read the blurb and learned it was about space travel, I was scared. Like, space travel terrifies me, especially if it's horror kind of space travel. Think like Illuminae, how there's some sort of like virus going around in Gemini, how there's that like little alien-y thing going around. That was alright because it was written like YA and it was easy enough to dissociate from myself, but like space films terrify me. I will never watch Interstellar. It's just freaky. I cannot do it. I will not do it. So I was scared when I picked this up, but instead it turned out to be funny. It turned out to be colourful. It turned out to be a beautiful story about what one man will do to survive. He's got personality. It's just a fun book, and I did not expect that. So it's kind of a trend here. Expectations, failed, expectations, yeah. Words, who needs them? Okay, so one I wasn't a fan of, The Girl on the Train, Paula Hawkins. It's a pretty mediocre mystery if you ask me. It wasn't gripping, it wasn't exciting. I didn't even care who did it. I wasn't invested. The last book, is it my last book? The last book that I really liked in my top 10 this year is Robert Harris's Red Dragon. I'm lending a copy to a colleague for the summer. Red Dragon. Now this is a mystery thriller done right. I cannot stop thinking about this. I picked it up thinking, because it's book one in the Hannibal Lecter series, I thought Hannibal might have had a way bigger, what's the word I'm looking for? Showtime in the book. But it didn't. Instead, we got the Red Dragon persona instead, and oh my gosh, it was brilliant. It was creepy, it was interesting. One thing Harris has done, I've only read 2 out of 4 books, but I'm guessing this is a trend, is he gives the bad guy's perspective as well. So it makes you think from the baddies side of things, and it doesn't make you think necessarily that what they're doing can be excused. It just gives you insight, and so you get to know. It's one of those situations where the multiple point of views are done really well, because you get to know the complete both sides of the story, the guy who's doing it and the detective trying to solve it. And so the whole time you know who it is, but he doesn't, and you see when their paths almost cross, and then people are so close to figuring out, and then he's so close to like screwing up. It was really, really good. Ending on a bad one, Sorcery of Thorns. I cannot remember a single thing about it, which says everything I need to say about it. What happened in it? I genuinely cannot remember. Except it's 2 stars on Goodread, and the fact that I'm drawing a major blank just tells me it wasn't good. So, those are the 10 worst and my 10 best books from 2020. Hopefully Editing Me has been able to mish this together. It's sitting on half an hour. Gosh, I really ramble, don't I? Hopefully, please, I don't want the audience to be sitting here like a skeleton at the end of the video. Speaking of the end of the video, this is the end of the video, and I'm going to do the spin the wheel for you guys now. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.
Spinning the wheel for my beautiful subscribers.
We have a blank on the wheel and it's being filled in with a recently returned shelf. So for that one, it means if there's a book that you have like gotten out from the library or added to your TBR but didn't get round to or returned, grab it. Give it another go. All right, your prompt is... translated, a translated text. Read something originally written, not in your original first language. All right, I hope you get a good book. Leave me a comment. What are you going to read? All right, bye guys.